The First President, Chapter 8, Section 1. This is a quote from George Washington in a letter to Henry Knox. He says, "My movements to the chair of government will be accompanied with feelings not unlike those of a culprit who is going to a place of his execution. So unwilling am I, in the evening of a life nearly consumed in public cares, to quit a peaceful abode for an ocean of difficulties." George Washington, he had said his farewell to Congress. He had said his farewell to the public life, but now they were calling him back. He understood that it was necessary for him to come and to lead the new country that he had worked so hard to acquire. George Washington. Washington was not a willing participant of the government. You can see that in his last quote. But he knew that if he refused to become the next president or the first president, he might see the republic that he helped create collapse. He was the most trusted man in politics. He was the most trusted man in all of America for this job, and he understood the importance of it, and so he knew he had to do it. The presidency. This office was the least trusted. Many feared that it would become a form of a king. Like we've said before, in the Articles of Confederation, they tried everything they could to make sure that there wasn't one group or one person or just a small area in the government that had too much power. So they're worried about the seat of the president, and it is the most untrusted position in this new government under the Constitution. However, the public trusted him. His reputation and leadership calmed people's fears. They've seen what he can do. They've seen him be a good leader in the American Revolution. They've seen him be a good leader in the political realm under the Articles of Confederation. So at first, there's not many people are going to criticize him during the early years of his presidency. That will later change. And something that was very important, Washington's every move set precedents and traditions for the new country. And he knew that. He knew that every little thing he did would have to be calculated, and every little thing he did would be under a magnifying glass in the public's eye. So one thing that they set, I mean, this is a new government. They didn't know what to even call him. They didn't know how to refer to him. Somebody said we should call him Your Highness, the President. And he said, no, I think we're just going to go with Mr. President. And that was one of the first traditions that he set. His cabinet. We've talked about what a cabinet is. It's a group of advisors for the president. George Washington set this up. 3 departments that they set up was the State Department to handle relations with other nations. Okay, very important. Treasury Department to deal with financial matters, and War Department to provide for the national defense. Congress also created the office of the Attorney General to handle government's legal affairs, and all these departments are going to assist the president in making decisions and so forth. His cabinet, Washington appointed the heavy hitters of the political world at that time to these offices. The State Department was going to be run by Thomas Jefferson. Treasury Department is going to be run by Alexander Hamilton. The War Department would be under Henry Knox. And the Attorney General at the time was going to be Edmund Randolph. Okay, these men were very powerful, very prominent leaders of the time, and George Washington relied on them to advise him in his first presidency. Okay, that's a lot. I'm sorry about that. There was a debate on how much control the president should have over his cabinet positions. The question that they were asking was, did the president need approval by the Senate to fire or replace these positions? Because if he didn't, then that is giving the president more power. That is adding on to the power of the executive branch. Many people, again, were scared that this position would become a form of a king. So they were very reluctant to just hand over certain powers. Congress gave the president the authority to fire a cabinet member without the approval of the Senate. Vice President John Adams broke this tie that gave the president this power. So this is going to strengthen the office of the presidency because he can do away with his cabinet members whenever he wants. If he feels that they're not doing his job, he can just straight out fire them. Okay, the Bill of Rights. Right here you can see a couple of different cartoons over the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments, and that's what we're going to talk about. The Bill of Rights was definitely needed. James Madison presented a list of amendments to Congress. Congress is going to actually pass 12 amendments, but the states are only going to ratify 10 of them. The Bill of Rights limits the powers of government. Its purpose is to protect the rights of individual liberties, such as freedom of speech and rights of a person accused of crimes, including trial by jury, which is very important to the early Americans. The 10th Amendment protects the rights of states and individuals by saying that the powers that are not specifically given to the federal government are, quote, reserved to the states respectfully or to the people. With the 10th Amendment, Madison hoped to use the states as an important line of defense against a too powerful national government. The Bill of Rights, they are there to protect us from the government. That is their purpose. They were added to the Constitution on December of 1791.